Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am Anke Niehoff from Wageningen University, and I will be your chair for this afternoon. We will discuss the fifth theme, population, livelihood and environment, of the 6 themes that were framed under the general overall theme of the population question and development. In 1994, at the Cairo ICPD, a paradigm change took place in the thinking about population and development. Many countries subscribed to the Cairo agenda that had people's, and notably women's, sexual and reproductive rights and health at its core. At Cairo +5 and Cairo +10, the initial enthusiasm had subsided a bit, because many countries had not made enough means available to implement the Cairo agenda. Now at Cairo +15, we are again reflecting on the relationship between population and development, taking the Cairo Agreement as our point of departure. Reproductive and sexual health and rights are there to stay, but concerns about the impact of population and consumption growth on natural resources and environments have increased rather than abated. Researchers and policymakers are still struggling with the question of how people's personal motivations, strategies and choices relate to macro-level social and economic development and to worldwide environmental trends. Aspects of this question have been addressed in the foregoing meetings. Today may yield answers, because the concept of livelihood is put into the equation. And because of this, I'm very happy to introduce the speaker, Professor Xizhe Peng, as today's speaker, who is the director of the Institute of Population Research at Fudan University, Shanghai. He did his master and PhD studies at the London School of Economics. He returned to Fudan University in 1988 and became a professor there in 1991. His main research interests include China's population dynamics and population policy, and questions of social reform, also in relation to population aging and sustainable development, including social issues, gender issues, and poverty issues. Professor Peng will present his address, and after that, Dr. Jeroen van Ginneken will respond to the speech as today's discussant. Dr. van Ginneken is now an honorary fellow at the NIDI, the Netherlands Interdisciplinary Demographic Institute, and he's a professor at the School of Health Systems and Public Health of the University of Pretoria in South Africa. So we first have Professor Peng's address, then Dr. van Ginneken will respond to that. No doubt those of you who have been at the earlier sessions will be familiar with the format. And then we expect to have about an hour's time for discussion with the floor. At 7 p.m. you're all invited for the reception afterwards. But first, please have your attention for Professor Peng.
Thank you very much for Chairperson. I feel honored to be here to discuss with you of China's population dynamics and its impact on China's development. I know that in the Netherlands there is renewed concerns about the population and its impact on general development. So I hope that my talk on Chinese issues will contribution to the debate happening here. First, I would like to give you some kind of very brief introduction to what is China's population today, what's the basic situation, what's the major problems. Then I will talk about how the Chinese government and the Chinese scholars are debating on whether China should maintain its current population policy or what should be done to change the policy to the other forms. So I was informed I should talk about half hour or at the longest 40 minutes. Then
yes, between half an hour.
Yeah, okay. Then you can raise questions or during my talk, or you can leave your question, put on the question and answer times. Now China's total population now it's about the 1.33 billion by the end of last year. So it's remained as the largest populated country in China. And at this moment, every year there are about 16 million births, and then we have the 9 million deaths. So this gives the natural increase of the Chinese population about 7 million annually. So this figure they also experience some kind of fluctuation over the years. Now in China, we have about 46% of Chinese are classified as urban residents. Then the 54 of them are regarded as rural. But when people use the data about the urban data and the rural data, we must be very careful because this sometimes is subject to the change in the territory or definition of this rural and urban. Chinese population is rapidly aging. At this moment, about 20% of the Chinese are under the age of 15. Then the elderly population aged 65 and over, now it's something like 7.5% among the total Chinese population. Compared to the many European countries, for example, in the Holland, the Chinese population is still very young, but the speed of the aging process is very, very fast. I will talk this later. Now, here is some general population increase over the last 30 years. So we can see the China total population in the early 1980s, it's something like just 1 billion. Now it's over the last 30 years, now the total population reached the 1.3 and more billions. Then the Chinese population are at this moment is more and more concentrated in the coastal areas. So we can see that here is we can draw a line from in the northeast part of China to the southwest part of China. This roughly divided China into the two parts. We can see the overwhelming majority of China live in the southeast part of China, and more concentrated in the Beijing area and the Yangtze River Delta area and the Pearl River Delta area. So these are three bigger metropolitan areas in China, and more people live in this area. Chinese population are more concentrated in these areas. Here is the population dynamics in China over the last 60 years. We can see these are the very high birth rate and the fluctuations during the Great Famine period. So this is the Great Famine period that happened between 1959 to 1961. So these are, in China we call the 3 bitter years. The casualty of this Great Famine, it's still the bigger topic for the academic debate. I did the research in 1984, as quite a long time ago. So my estimation is that during that 3 years time period, roughly about 20 million excess deaths and 20 million excess as a postponement of childbearing. So it's really the bigger casualty happened during this 3 year time period. After this